Everybody stand, says,
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Lord God, for an opportunity to come and be together in this wonderful community we have in our lives, that all the meeting we conducted this year has great. Thank you for letting us live in this free nation, dear Lord, and how blessed we are. I ask your blessing on each man as they speak. I just pray that our community can grow and be a blessing to you for this process for everyone.
Amen.
okay, make a motion to approve the September 4th minutes agenda.
I have no approve it.
All those in favor say aye. Yep.
I make a motion that we amend the agenda to include the 911 presentation. Before operation.
Cooperation report.
I don't hear you. Oh, sorry. I make a motion to amend the agenda to include a presentation by 911, Council of Governments 911 presentation prior to the operational reports.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Perfect. Make an approval of the minutes for August 21st, 2025. Meeting. Motion.
Motion to approve the fourth bill.
Make a second to approve the August 21st meeting. All those in favor?
We can stop now. On item number 9D, hotel renovations, it just has the flooring. We also talk about the paint and storm that part of that renovation.
Which was that? All right.
9D, that's number 1.
Also need to do what?
Interior painting of the hotel.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the August 21st meeting with the amendment of the interior painting of the hotel room?
Make a motion, August 23rd.
Make a second. All those in favor say aye. Approved. Okay, recapping the closed session for today. Was property owner matter as far as the decision on the payment. We have elected to get a record to get that individual extension. Potential contracts, I don't know if we have any potential contracts currently going on. Personnel, whether there's any personnel issues we had legal, no legal, we did speak with the legal team earlier this week in regards to your lawsuit, and we are waiting on the other side. There was an agreement, or a settlement agreement that was sent to them. We're still waiting on a reply from the Pine Group in order to either accept it or reject it. So that's where we stand on the lawsuit. For those of you who are issued the wage credit. We're no other issues, if I'm not mistaken, anything that we discussed. I'm going to give you a recap for the closed session. Okay. Recap discussion statements since last meeting, if any. We need to approve the hotel bid.
We forgot to do that.
We've got, yeah.
So the
Yeah.
other week, we talked about it, and we looked at all the renovations, and we walked out and forgot to do the motion to approve the contractors, and so we did that this last week.
Yes, we did. Okay, so that's what we did approve. Okay, that was the only decision that we made since the last meeting. Okay, next on the agenda is the amendment to the 911 counseling briefing. Gentlemen, stand up and come over here and give you a brief. They get to stand right now, we'll give you 15 minutes. If questions or, take longer, then we'll put that time.
Okay, I appreciate y'all letting us get to talk to y'all about this 911 issue. I'm Judge Ryder, Leon County Judge. Appreciate y'all allowing us to come tonight. We have a presentation that's going to be given by Brazos Valley Council of Governments. If you don't know what that is, there's 24 of those in the state of Texas. And everything from the federal government trickles down to the state, and the state trickles down to the Brazos Valley Council of Governments. And then we're in our council of governments, we have 7 counties that they're over. So we have a presentation we need to talk to you about on 911 that's come down from the federal government to the state government. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Tanner Erb, and he's going to tell you he's with the Brazos Valley Council of Government. He's going to tell you what's going on. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I think my voice is loud enough. I've done a lot of public speaking, so I don't think I need a mic for you guys. Introductions. Like I said, my name is Tanner Erb. I'm with the Brazos Valley Council of Governments. I work for the 911 Program Services, and I am the GIS specialist in that division. The reason I'm out here today is to talk to you guys about that addressing that's out there. Addressing has been here for as long as Hilltop Lakes exist, and the numbers ain't changed since then. It's never been our goal or our concept to come out here and mess with people's address, to try to mess with your mailing or your driver's licenses or anything else like that. But recently, you had somebody purchase a piece of property out on Goldfield Drive. That individual, unfortunately, was not able to be issued an address because the first address that's on that street is number 2. Now, per the national guidelines, that's 725 feet away from the intersection. So the first address that's supposed to be issued on that road should have been 144. This has caused a dilemma because now we have a new property owner who cannot be issued an address. He cannot get a loan from the bank on his property, cannot build on his property because we are unable to give him an address. And I know we all went to school and math, and we know negative numbers exist, but they don't exist when it comes to addresses. So there's genuinely nothing less than 2 that's even that we're able to issue now, which has caused a dilemma. We have had this issue out here in Hilltop Lakes on a few different occasions, and we have tried to band-aid this as much as humanly possible, but unfortunately we have now gotten to the point to where it has to be fixed. So the federal government, which is also known as NENA, they set a set of guidelines that all of the COGs across the state of Texas who are what's called RPCs, which means that we have the regional authority over residents when it comes to their 911 emergency addresses. And what that means for you guys is that we unfortunately have gotten to the point of no return on addressing here out in Hilltop Lakes that has to be addressed. And we have to come through and we have to do some addresses. Now, that sounds like a shock. I don't want it to shock everybody. We have been in a lot of discussions. This has been an ongoing thing. What I am here today to explain to everybody and try to answer your questions if you have them is that we plan on moving through multiple phases through the Hilltop Lake subdivision and slowly readdress. That way it's not a shock, it's not an overnight adjustment that you have to make. We, your county officials, we at the COG are going to be here to help you guys through that stepping process because this is a large subdivision. And we don't want anybody to feel like that your voice is not heard, that your opinion does not matter. And that's why I'm here today to not only explain this, but to answer any questions that you guys may have for me. So tentatively, our goal is to start here within the next few months. A hard starting date has not been set yet, but our goal is to get through the entire Hilltop Lake subdivision by the middle of next year. And so what that will look like, and I brought some maps if y'all would like to look at them to kind of see where or not you may be affected in that, is we're going to start in the areas of the subdivision that we believe that there are no residences at. So towards the back of the Hilltop Lake subdivision, there's a bunch of roads, no houses. We plan on starting out there and making the corrections before we start moving more inward to the more densely populated areas. As this phase is going on, y'all will be notified. I have been in conversations with Ms. Michelle, and she understands how the phase is going to go. She understands the communication plan that we have set up, that we keep everybody informed, from your county officials to your database manager. Her name is Kirsten. From her all the way up to us. So, with that being said, do you all have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
I guess my point, or the only point I want to make is this is a process that will have a financial impact if there's a change. If you got to change driver's license, you got to change name. We have to change everything that we identify as our assets, correct? So there will be a financial impact. The judge gave a nice explanation when he says money filters down. How much financial support can we expect those here at Hilltop who may not be able to make the financial cost? And what would those costs be? I guess that's the first thing to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you provide me an example of what you think a financial burden that you're going to
That's a change in driver's license.
Yeah, it's going to be free. I've already been in contact with the Department of Public Safety and the local office. We are in the process of changing the address forms to make sure that it checks all boxes for DPS. And as long as a resident out here has that letter stating that the county is the one who changed your address, we have already made that connection with DPS so that you will not feel that impact.
Second part of that, though, still is there are many people out here who probably don't even know how many addresses are on record in databases that they are impacted on. Again, I'm not saying, that may not mean that we should do, but it still may need the time, the effort, and first and foremost, that understanding. And I know you guys don't sit on the social service side of the talk, but that's still an important aspect that would have to be done. And I think, again, we won't know what the dollars, and maybe you guys ever done this before? I mean, at this scale?
To the scale of Hilltop Lakes, have we done this before? Yes.
So what pitfalls did you see when this was happening?
So
what were the negatives?
So the biggest pitfall from the last time that we did this was and the greatest thing that we learned. I don't necessarily look at negatives. I look at how do we grow from this, so that if this were to occur again, that we don't have to face that hardship, right? So I take it as a learning lesson. And the biggest one for us was communication. It was between us and the database manager to that community where there was a break in communication. This time, we have stood on the front lines. We have said that we are going to stand with the county, that I am just happy to give you my email, my phone number. If you have a question, you want to call me, I'd be more than happy to pick up the phone and talk to you. Just like your county officials, just like your database manager, the same thing. This time, this is why we're here. It's the last time we didn't have a presentation. As the COG, we have the authority to come through and make the change. And so the other thing that we learned in that communication part was that we weren't as transparent as we could have been. we could have had a discussion like this. We could have brought people in. And so that was one of the things that as we moved forward this time, we knew that was what we were going to do. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So I just went through this actually with the 911. My address was changed on my farm. And it went very smoothly. And unfortunately, there was a little hiccup because y'all had changed the 911 person in the office. So, but other than that, it really went smoothly. And it was really easy to change your address, and log your credit card, use your driver's license. It's not a big deal. But I do have a question for emergency services. We have this thing where we put a number in front of the house that the fire department usually makes for us, a small fee. Are you, and I'm actually looking at this in Dallas, as well, we're in Dallas. They had us a uniform number on our property so that emergency services could know where to look each time and if there was any confusion like that. So is that something you recommend as well, or?
I highly advise it. Again, the position of the COG and for the position of 911 for certain things like administratively like this is mere advisory. So we advise. I spent 8 years in law enforcement and 5 years as a medic on the box. So running out at 3 a.m. to somebody's house that they thought they were getting burglarized, or somebody who had chest tightness and they needed somebody there, and we could not read the address. So when seconds mattered and we couldn't find a residence, as a responder, we feel that internally we took that home. So that is something I will always advocate for, just for the sheer fact that I know the importance behind it from being in those meetings.
So I had talked with, I'm actually part of the Citizens Emergency Response, and we had I just got a new map for Hilltop Place, and about 3 weeks ago I picked it up, and especially for those situations, and since it's such a quadrant, it's almost like different quadrants.
And that's exactly how we divided it when we looked at how we were going to do the addressing, because it is so almost round and segmented, but still connected. It gave us a pretty way to try to make how we were going to do the phases and in which processes.
So I played with GIS a little bit. So my question to you is there a way to color code it so we can actually see what's happening as it's happening?
Can you be more specific at all?
Well, like on a web format, they color code it so we can kind of say, okay, it could be rudimentary, or it could just be a PDF or something, and say, okay, this is the day we're working on this department. This is the day we're starting on here, so you can actively see what's going on.
Yes, absolutely, and I have no problems doing that. As soon as some timelines and stuff are set, we already have a roadmap of how this is going to happen.
It's kind of tough when the board does everything, but we're out here kind of in the dark. It'd be nice for us to know.
No, absolutely, and to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, to my understanding, the board may have gotten a preview of this conversation, but it was not for me. They are hearing all of this and in its pure nature, just as you are.
Yeah, I mean, especially since it's kind of, you're holding the cards as far as the timeline.
Yes, ma'am. And we at the COG have zero issues being transparent with the people that it's impacting, and we've already taken steps and measures to make sure that you are notified either before it happens or to develop a list that you can know tentatively between date X and date Y that you may be impacted. So those are conversations that we've already workshopped and tabletop. That way that there is the least amount of impact to the community.
It's just nice when the students are.
Yeah.
Especially for me.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Will every house be getting an address?
Yes.
Every house.
Every house.
Okay, this is a whole
So the original, so when this was originally drafted, this was before we had a tabletop and workshop with a lot of the stakeholders. And initially, the plan was to start with Gulfview Drive. Since then, and through some very delicate conversations, we have moved that out to the less populated areas so we can fix roadways and road numbers and move inward from there. So it didn't change And one thing that I didn't say that I want everybody to know is that this is not just a federal mandate, but this is a state guideline. And they gave us a hard date in which we have to have this executed. If not, the money that we give to Leon County for y'all to receive emergency services would either be cut in parts or it would be cut as a whole, depending on how the state emergency communications committee decided to pull those fundings. So for us to get ahead of this and to do this one time and to apply the standards as they are, we don't have to go through this again. Y'all hopefully have to see it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you know this is going to have a major impact on our fire EMS because we do have alter fire and we have 24-hour EMS. And DJ can log in on that as well because he has the same thing. He is our representative, but it will have a major impact on us.
So can you help me understand where that impact where fire EMS is coming in?
Knowing how to go, where to go, because right now, even GPS, there are places out here that are very difficult to find. Of course, addresses are very difficult to find, but not everyone who works for our department lives on the hill. And there's 600 some odd houses here.
Correct.
So they're not real familiar with the community other than as it is right now.
Absolutely, and I think you bring up a great question. The biggest thing there is that the scope that you're looking at it from is singular, and I look at it from a scope as a whole, right? A prime example being, I'm quite sure we've all traveled down 45. I know I travel down every single day, and there's always an accident. I know when TxDOT submits their reports and there's as many accidents on 45 in Leon County, how many of the first responders are going out to that? How many additional responders are going out to it because of how many people are involved in it? So when you have to have, like St. Joe's being a prime example, and they have to bring in another crew that doesn't know this area, right? To be able to provide that service if something were to happen out here, and it's not done correctly to people who are unfamiliar with the area, that's where we look at it. We look at it from the scope of, it's not just hilltop lakes, but what if something bigger were to happen in the county that pulls away those resources from you, so that you are still within reasonable time to receive the services that you're calling. Does that make sense?
It does. My concern is it will be a constant update.
Update to
what the addresses are. While you're doing that, it's going to be a constant update. You can't do it all at once. You can't just go, oh, here's your map. You can't, because that road would be different, and then that road would be different, and that road would be different. So we're aware that it will be a major impact on fire EMS.
It will take time, but I just want to clarify. So like EMS and fires, what we call layers or polygons, those are all controlled from the car. We are the ones that have to verify and validate all of that data. So those lines, where they are and where those maps intersect to when dispatch has to reach out to somebody, that all comes from us. And that's why, again, when I was speaking about the pitfalls from earlier, having this transparency so that there is a level of understanding, because there are so many layers to when you call for 911 that just your phone call is moving through. And so, with that being said, on the portions that we control, we also control the local and the immediate area maps when it comes to, like she was saying, when it came to like CERT maps and stuff like that. We impact that. I guess I could have said too, another thing that I didn't know about was how to reach out to Google. A multi-billion-dollar company, you think getting a hold of somebody would be pretty easy. Even as the government, it's very difficult. But thankfully, I made contact with them because a lot of the stuff out here doesn't even match the 911 maps. And so I can only imagine how frustrating that would be to try to explain to a UPS man or a FedEx man, like, no sir, I don't live on Bob Drive, I live on North Wilson, like Google Maps is wrong. And so we, as we're doing this, are going to be working with Google as much as we can, and Google will allow. We can't control $1 billion company, but we have already made those steps because we knew that this was coming. And so we've already had those fluid conversations with them. on how we can try to get Google to update just as quickly as we are updating the maps. Yes, ma'am. Will not change the zip code. That is handled by the postmaster. Yes, ma'am.
Thing like our records at the county, with this, do we have to go to the county to change our tax records on this address, or does this just load up?
Yeah, that's an awesome question, and that's something that came up here at our table talk, and we had discussed was how do we minimize the impact to residents. So between me and Kirsten, who is your database manager for the county, who is semi-sponsored by the COG, we are working with her in that same form that we're recreating to make sure that we check all the boxes for DPS, that we're checking all the same boxes for the county assessor's office, for voter registration, we're trying to make sure that we're covering all bases. That way, when it does come to be your face and your time, that you can say, okay, I have these 2 forms to fill out, I'm going to give them to person A, and I will have an answer and it will be done. And we have all been working in tandem to make sure that gets executed the way it should.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
You'll take one more question due to time constraints. I know this part is meeting. If you have any other questions, please be with them after the meeting.
Yes, sir.
There would be possibly that our homes will all be changed to numbers, right?
Correct.
Okay, a lot of us have our numbers bricked into the home. Who's gonna pay for that? We have to do that?
So the easy answer to that is what I would suggest to the board and the committee here today. My suggestion, again, as a first responder, is that there be some sort of thought about getting a sign, because there are other counties that have implemented this in a different way. So many feet off the roadway, so high off the gate if you're on X plus acres. What we are looking at is trying to get enough of what the plaques are made, that they were talking about that the fire department made, to try to bring that cost down as low as possible, so that the impact isn't hard. Now, as it pertains to being bricked into the house, that's unfortunately I don't have.
You guys do money. I heard the word money trickles down. I can tell you that pretty much we don't get any money. And so you're not reaching to a fire here. Yes, I get a lot of financial support. Matter of fact, the first time I ever heard the word subdivision was at this meeting. But we're not incorporated.
Just to hair on that, so the fire trucks that you receive from the Texas Forest Service, it's federal money that comes to the state. So the fire trucks that were received on a grant come from state funding, comes from federal funding. So
Our one truck.
whichever one it is, Mark has received one as well. Everybody in the county has received at least one throughout the course of the last 20-something years. But that's the kind of funding we're talking about. The new ambulance bill package that's rolling down to the counties, that's state funding. That's another part of it. All that has to do with, if we don't comply with this, then it may only be one fire truck for here, but next year it may be another 1 or 10 years down the road. If it's not complied with, then that funding is going to be.
I'm not talking about the compliance. I'm talking about the cost. I mean, you work the driver's license, that's great. I think, if I remember correctly, my passport has my address on it. But not. I'm just saying. But anyway, those are costs. And as I expressed earlier, Randy brought up a good point. There's a cosmetic cost to fix it. In these days, you know how much it costs to fix anything. It's a lot of money. So I know you're saying you're kind of sorry about it, but there's got to be a way that some money can be put aside to support the changes that this law will. Because otherwise, we're just being told, actually, we don't have any help. And I'm not like those things, look at outside the box.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and as a property owner myself, I can understand where you're coming from. I can relate to that aspect. Because my number, like when he brought it up, I was like, oh man, my number's purchased my house. I look at it every day when I walk my front door, and I put something within Even Ron is kind of mentioned it. I think it's a valid thought. You know, but in the same breath, when we talk about money being set aside, I can't, from the COG, understand, as a representative of the COG, I can't speak to that half, right, of funding being set aside for required address change in order to be compliant. We are not the first COG in the state of Texas. There are 17 other COGs that have already implemented this and have been to the MP3 well before we have. Because we're still working on Puff 2. But as we are upgrading, you know, the sheriff's office radios, EMS's radios, towers, and we're getting the equipment in so that, because I know when I was on patrol out here, I was halfway out to Oakwood, I would lose communication with dispatch. When I got into a foot pursuit, out the same direction, I had to, after I caught my suspect, I had to call dispatch on my phone and my radio would not work. So I can only, again, I speak from a responder aspect of there's more than just addresses that goes into play when it comes to 911. Because as somebody who also works with the DHS planner and in the public safety realm, because I work with them very closely at the top as well. So I'm able to see the things that, you know, the commissioner was talking about, where those funding dollars do go to be able to provide the equipment for the services if you need them or call. So when we're talking about allocating funds, we're on the same table, but we're in little different pots. And that's why, again, my suggestion to the board would be that some sort of policy or rule or whatever the case may be implemented, that everybody has to have a sign so far into their yard or off the driveway or whatever the case may be, which I would be more than happy to work with us on that.
So can we kind of cut it short just for the purpose of the meeting and time constraints? Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any, yes.
Email address?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let me get to that, but I can answer your question. If you have any questions, please get with Michelle or the gentleman right here, right here. Michelle is part of the. Yep, right here. So, she's in direct contact with with these folks. You know what you do. So, either get your questions to her, or if you get his information, his contact information, get it to him so you can ask some questions directly, and get those answers. And then throughout this process, we will update you in the upcoming meetings with the signs in the yards. Yeah, that's.
Again,
yes, ma'am.
Can I just make a suggestion, because I'm very familiar with how communication from property owners in this community works. So rather than all of us sending multiple duplications of the same question to him, do we have Michelle receive those questions and then?
Absolutely.
What do you think? I mean, I'm trying to, your box is going to be full. Okay, so you're really big with the questions that are asked, so maybe you can track them yourself, but you know that's already going to ask.
That's what I said, yeah. Just,
That's what you said, yes.
Let me say this real quick. If we could avoid coming out here and talking to you about the 911, we would have, but it's come down to us, from federal to the state to us. We don't really have a choice. I mean, they're telling us we got to have it done, take that. And so that's why we wanted to have come tonight to explain to the what's going on. We'll probably have some more smaller meetings to try to coordinate things. But if I was a landowner, I'd be upset too. I would be sorry if this had happened. But it's not your County. It's not anybody local. It's the state and federal government. Deadline is 2030.
I just want to point this out to all the property owners. At the water department, we have our alert system. There's one on the Hilltop Lakes website also where you can go sign up for alerts. Now would be the time to do that. So as we get updates or find out about them coming out here for meetings or things like that, we can send that out to you and you have it as an alert.
And I will hang around afterwards for anybody that has questions or wants to get my contact information or Kirsten would be your local contact. They have me give out either or, so you can find me afterwards. I'll be more than happy to talk with you guys.
And we're here to make you the payments as possible.
Okay, next on the list, operation reports. Financial report, none due, your every 4 weeks.
Y'all don't have to listen to me this time.
Next up, maintenance report, Mr. Roby.
I kind of condensed it down so it's not as, So housekeeping, we, do our normal rounds and all that, but when our slow season comes, we're gonna go reformat how we clean, when we clean, all that, just, I think we need a little more work, they're doing okay, but they can be better. Plus continue with their normal rounds and stuff. On buildings, we've been doing a lot of different things, restoring the fountain, restoring the lodge, chandeliers, all that stuff. And then roads, I know roads is the big one. So y'all may have seen a pile over by the village, that's because we're redoing the retaining wall. We had a lot of septic issues we've got fixed now. And we're going to put new drive there so it's not affecting banks, y'all can in that. If you look at the time lapse on Google Earth, that bank is slowly eroding the road that we're using. So that's why it looks kind of ugly right now. But we are working on it. And then we have we have a road repair improvement program. This has started a while back. So in the process right now is Warrior, Trail Ride, Lakefront, Casper, Hickory Ridge, and Clydesdale. And this is also to take care of all concrete and all ramps up on some of the work on those roads. Nassau. We also have a predicted for next year. Nassau's on it, but I will.
I'm tired of issues.
Look
It's a
at
5-year plan, I've been here 5 years. Get the things to say.
I gotta, let me check out next. And none of this is set in stone. Then, so for the next year, the plan, it was already, it was Kingston, Nassau, Golf Club, Spring, Cherokee, and Ranch. Ranch is gonna move up a little bit too, so.
Alright, is there any pavement?
Does that mean repair or replaces? We don't have repair, we just have gravel.
We have grass.
So I didn't know if this was separate list for repair and a separate list for like, just.
And it's, Mr. Chairman, I'll discuss it right now, Ms. Walsh. Well, we're making them drivable first.
Yeah,
And then,
that's why I didn't know if it was a separate list for repairs and a separate list for just getting a road.
this is just kind of a condensed list of everything that specifies which is which, but.
Okay.
Matt, ask, do y'all ever use oil sand?
We do, and it only works in certain areas, it depends on the base of the road. And we had a deal worked out with the county about getting, because we have to buy the oil with it itself, and we can mix it with sand to kind of fill out the stuff.
Commissioner,
Yeah, that's right. But that deal fell through, so we're trying to find our own. But like I said, it only works on the roads that have a great base where it's stable. Sand works.
well, we have great bases, but we kept scooting around and shutting it off. Now we have sand.
So we have to rebase it and then sand, but that is a great option.
Yeah.
On Clydesdale, I see recently that there's been some patching done there, but in the same area where the patches have been done, there are still some gouges. Are you planning on coming down, filling in the gouges as well?
Yeah, all the recent patches that were done, which I've seen, we tore up this parking lot for the church,
we instantly we had a list of places to drop that. So they were it's just a whole filling. We're gonna come back on top of those.
Okay, so it's partial, not it.
Yeah, we're just getting rid of the material so we can go ahead and get it fixed as soon as we can.
We have some things. All right, thank you, Mr. Conway. Our next up, building maintenance. Can we building maintenance too?
I didn't do it.
I didn't know y'all. I didn't actually grab it. I didn't know. All right, next up is golf course maintenance report.
Okay, I'll go through
Mr.
the,
Bryant.
I'll give Candace report for the month of, operational report for the month of August for the pro shop. His income was $26,249.35. We had 2,301 golfers last month. Year to date is $208,695.93, and players is 17,784.
All right, thank you, Mr. Field. All right, next up is business office report. Ms. Ruby.
Can you hear me? Yes. Yes. So right now, the business office is working on getting things ready for the election. We're hoping to have the postcards out within the next week or two, in hopes. Everyone is settling back into their respective offices after the remediation of the back office. And then we've had 3 membership lots purchased for the month of August and 2 POA lots sold for the month of August.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. All right, post office report. We got anybody here from the post office? Okay, let's do that real quickly. Currently have 49 boxes available for rent, 37 small, 12 medium. August 1 through 27th. For August, Hilltop Lakes Post Office staff processed a total of 5,030 incoming packages and a total of 36,483 pieces of mail. So that was her report for the post office report. Next on the agenda is committee reports. We'll go for the ACC, Mr. Patrick, some care of that.
Evening, everybody. Okay, for August, we had 5 new house permits, 5 storage buildings, garages, 1 carport, patio cover, 3 driveway concrete works, 5 fence, 3 septics, 1 swimming pool, 1 deck, courtyard, and that's it for the permits. 0 on the rest. Permits issued during August of 25, 7. Permits closed August of 25, 5. Violations issued during August was 7. Violations closed 1. And somebody else had last week or a couple weeks ago, violations outstanding, approximately 22. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Mr. Petro.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Mrs. Gross, Activities Committee.
Okay. It's the Burr months. BR, September, November, December. Okay, so we're getting ready. I'm supposed to laugh. Okay, so we're getting ready for the Halloween event, which will be on October 31st at the campground. That's the Freaky Friday event. Make sure y'all get your tickets, not tickets, but I guess the promotion is over. But any donations, anybody who wants to help volunteer, please reach out to Joan or Kim. The fly-in is on October 11th. There's a flyer at the post office, there's one at the pro shop, and there's one at the Welcome Center. So you guys check into that event that's coming up. Scarecrow competition is coming up. Let's decorate our community with some really cool scarecrows. Gila, they're having their barn dance on November 22nd. Everybody check out, look at that flyer so you get updated information and support Gila. Breakfast with Dad is coming up. I don't have anybody signing up yet, so if you know your grandkids are coming up or your kids, please sign up so I make sure I have enough for everybody. The food trucks are scheduled to be here on Mondays. They're rotating. We're working out the schedule still. Ruben Escalante is working on a fishing derby that's coming up. So if anybody's interested in helping with that, reach out to him. Any questions? No? Good. Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Ross. Next up on the agenda is beautification committee. Mr. Butler.
Good afternoon, everyone. A lot since last couple of weeks. Got 4 inches of flower beds were weeded and cleaned up, and looking for volunteers to help beautify the back of the lodge. So if anybody would like to volunteer, you would, you give it to me on the Sarita. It's just probably easy to get a hold of. I'll buy some breakfast for lunch at the lodge, and we can talk about it. Thank you.
Mr. Butler, next, please, Mr. Knight.
Okay, the company that's treating the lakes for the invasive vegetation was here, I think it's 3 weeks ago now. They finished up treatments on Cherokee Lake, which was treatment number 5 for that particular lake. They were back again for treatment number 6 on Hopwa and Mira, excuse me. Then they were here last Wednesday for the 7th treatment and final treatment on the lakes. So they are complete for the year.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Knight. Okay, any questions, Mrs. Harvey?
Just a quick update, we are having the annual Gila pumpkin decorating contest, 2 categories, kids category and adult category. Have your decorated pumpkins to the Welcome Center by the 22nd, and then they'll be judged on the 24th, and winners announced that Saturday. And as Rita said, the Gila Barn Street Dance is coming up, we're really excited about that. Tickets will be arriving next week, so you can start purchasing them at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Harvey. Okay, next on the agenda is election committee, Mr. Ritchie.
We've had 2 meetings, and one today, make the second one on September the 8th. The application package will be available for candidates who want to run, and then they will be due by October 7th by 5 p.m. And I just had it printed out over on the table, Brittany, aren't they?
Yes.
Over here of the schedule for the election day, early voting, and everything. You pick up a little paper over there and all the dates on it.
Could you remind us again who's going off?
Pardon?
Can you remind us again who's up for their term expiring?
It'll be Mr. Doug, Bill, or Kyle, and Bill.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Ritchie. All right, next up, members to be heard. Elected meetings, I think all these are for the end of the meeting, if I'm not mistaken. Mrs. Gray?
I put 2 in as well.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, it was originally about the POA lots taybacks. So my question is, when you guys vote on item here, what are you voting for or against on the take-back lots?
We're voting to take them back.
Okay, so, when do you vote that it's okay to sell it? So for the previous 5 years, that take-back lots, agenda item, were lots that were taken back primarily through the collections process. And what the board was giving was approval to sell
Yes.
the list price of the that was on the sheet that you guys got,
Yeah.
and then there was a floor, because otherwise the board has to individually approve every sale of every lot, because it's real estate. So if you're just approving to take them back, because previously they were already, in large measure, already taken back, and I'm just trying to understand what you're voting yes or no on.
But I mean, I don't know that we've had anybody vote against, correct me if I'm wrong, on this particular board.
Okay,
So I guess, so we have to vote to take them, you're saying we need to vote to take them back, and then we have to vote to sell them?
so there was an approval through the collections process, to take them back. So take-backs were done, pretty much done when they got to the board list. It was really an approval to sell the take-back lots.
Yes.
Okay, now, there are some cases where the take-back lots weren't through the collections process. We have a whole lot of very elderly people that have paid religiously for 40 years or whatever, and they were coming back. There were a handful of those, but the vast majority of the lots that were on the list were taken back through the collections process. And typically, money was paid that would cover the taxes and that kind of money was paid that was owed, at least a portion of it, when we took them back. So again, just trying to understand, because if you're not approving the sale of those lots with a list price on the floor, then really you guys are supposed to approve the sale of real estate. And if you approve that for the Welcome Center staff to handle that, and that's what we did for all those years. Okay? The other thing is on an agenda item, so I didn't know what was going to be in the confidential matters, but you mentioned the lawsuit. So I'm curious how many board members are aware that both sides of the lawsuit filed a motion for summary judgment last year.
Yeah, we're totally aware of that.
And
Those were not set. Those were never set for hearing. When we reached out to offer a resolution to the other side, we didn't get a response. I think our attorneys did start to set the summary judgment to get their attention, which it did. And so now there's a proposed final judgment that's on the table that's been submitted to the other side. And at this point, we have not heard back from the other side of attorneys with regard to approval of it or any changes to it or any objection to it. And that's where we stand now.
Okay, so the original motion for summary judgment, the Klein et al. Group filed their motion for summary judgment before the POA did. So we didn't file one to get their attention. It was an agreement because the facts were agreed that what happened, and nobody's arguing that. Both sides agreed that it just needed to be the law that was applied so a judge could make a ruling.
Yes, so the summary judgments, yes, they did file theirs first, but none of them were ever set for hearing. The judge's not going to do anything until it's set for a hearing. So you can file all your motions you want. They don't do anything until it's set for hearing. Neither side ever set those for hearing. And so now there's been a proposal to resolve it, and we're just waiting for them to sign off.
So the $60,000 to $70,000 plus that we will have going out in legal fees are now going to be. There's no opportunity to recover them unless you guys put that in the settlement. Because if a judge ruled on it, one of the requests in the motion for summary judgment was to get, if they ruled in our favor, we could get the money that we then paid out in legal fees back to the POA.
Well, I mean, it's not a real more complicated.
I understand.
But the judge has discretion to award attorney.
Yes.
But there's been no hearings, there's been no argument with regard to.
So why didn't we request a hearing? We knew we filed a motion for summary judgment. Why didn't we take that next step? I mean, we paid a lot of money to get that thing developed.
Yeah, yes, and the board doesn't set that hearing, the attorneys do. So I have no idea. That suit pre-existed me. I have no idea why the attorneys didn't set the hearing, and they didn't hear both motions. But at this point, we're in resolution mode, so we're standing down on each side so we can try to get it resolved.
Okay.
And that's my understanding.
Okay. And then my final question is on the contract that you said you guys took a decision outside of the meeting because you didn't vote on it last time we went to the hotel renovations or something. So in the property code, it says you can take those decisions outside of the meeting, but you're required to disclose the estimated or actual cost that it's going to be to the association when you approve those contracts. So I know I looked last time when you did the original motel work, you approved the contract, but there was no mention in the board meeting about how much it was gonna be. So I'd just be curious to know, if you
We did do that. We did say that contract was gonna be last time.
That's not we did. No,
We
ma'am.
just did vote on it.
Yes. Yeah, it was announced.
Okay, but when you take the decision outside the meeting, you say, we took this decision and this is the impact.
The previous decision we made was during the meeting. This one, we did, this is the key. Yeah, so, and that's on us. We made a mistake.
No, I just would be curious
But
to know
we're
the
definitely,
impact of this.
she's definitely pulling it up.
I understand how to answer it right now, okay.
But, yes, that information will get out. It was agreed upon that the inside renovations of the hotel would take place. And it was approved. Since the outside was renovated, we're now taking the next step in the process of getting the inside of the hotel renovated. Your work reviews put out, and we moved on one.
We approved the bid for flooring, we approved the bid for painting, and the total of all of that is right under $200,000.
But you have to bring it to a vote in the meeting, or at least ratify your vote.
No, you don't.
We do not.
Yeah,
We
we
do not.
just have to tell you that they did it.
All we do is just have to announce it. We just announced it because it's our fault. We didn't announce it in the previous meeting. And that's our apologies. All right, is anything else, Mr. Craig?
Not that's on the agenda now.
All right. Any other one that I missed on these, anyone else that any of it? Okay. Now we're going to go to old business. Road repair and improvement program update, discussion only. And Ronnie just gave it, so. All right. Next one, tennis court, drainage, road and column. And we come up with a plan to rectify that. We'll do that out maintenance department, start up the road department.
I think last time what was proposed to us is that we would do a 5-foot rock wall all the way around the tennis courts.
Okay.
4 loads of 1 to 2 inch of river rock. That would be approximately $2,000 with our maintenance crew contributing the labor.
The labor, okay.
I can speak to that just a little.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So, the church did a really good job of building the retaining wall on this side here. You'll recall the worker engineering, Randy Tatro helping with this. The reason we're putting the rocks around it is to slow the velocity of the water coming down the hill because of the erosion underneath the tennis court. And we're seeing cracks longitudinally and latitudinally, and they're getting to the beams. Now, they're not cracked beams, so it's not a big deal, but we don't do something to stop that erosion. And really, I'm probably going to cut that back to about 3 feet out.
Okay.
We'll save a little money that way, and it will still get the same effect.
Okay.
So we'll lower that out.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right. Next on the agenda is new business. First on the item is building board member seat. I'm going to do Mrs. Perkins. I need to step up here, please.
She's got
As you know, there's two seats available. Okay, one is the seat vacated by Mr. Williamson, and the other one is due to the passing of Mr. Dennis. So they are going to take one is Mr. Williamson's seat. I have Miss Joyce Perkins. I'm going to validate the name that I call out. When I call out the name, then our Secretary Doug Johnson is going to take a tally of the votes. All right, for the individual awards. So there's 7 individuals who were candidates. It was Craig Johnson. It was Kevin Morton. It was Sylvia Guzman, Sadie Klein. My Miss
Lisa.
Bubba Rice.
Lisa. Lisa.
Hey, Lisa Kay.
Tommy Raymond.
Tommy Raymond. And you Kim Black. Okay? So, this is the thing, this is going to be Mr. Williams' spot. And this, come election time, he'll have 2 years left on his term. So, Bubba Rice, validate that for me. Okay? Doug will take it out. Okay, next one is Kim Blackson. This one's Tommy Raymond. This is Sadie Klein. Tommy Raymond. This one's Tommy Raymond. The last one is Tommy Raymond. Okay, Tommy Raymond, if you would like to accept, you've been appointed as the board member for the Bill Williams' empty seat.
Okay.
Stay seated for me, sir. Okay. All right, next one is for Anderson seat. In this, after the election, you'll have 1 year left on his term after the election. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Sadie Klein. Sadie Klein. Sadie Klein. Sadie Klein. How many is that?
4.
There's only 7 of us, just pretty bad. I want to give you great amounts. Kevin Morton. Sadie Klein. And Sadie Klein. You come up and I need you two new appointees to stand up.
You have to say these are leave.
And Judge Ryan, I'll do the ceremonial swearing.
Don't raise your right hand, please. Yes, sir. And state your name.
Thomas Raymond.
Okay, as duly elected director taking the seat of the board, you commit to, at the end, you say, I will or I do. Follow all applicable federal and state statutes and the governing documents of the POA of the Hilltop Lakes. Be truthful and honest in thought, word, and deed. Focus my efforts on Hilltop Lakes and not my personal goals. Refrain from using any service on this board to my own personal advantage or for the advantage of my friends, family, or associates. Immediately disclose to the board any perceived or real conflict of interest as soon as I have knowledge of a potential conflict. Never exercise authority as a board member except when acting in the board meeting or as authority is delegated to me by the board of the association president. Approach all board issues with open mind. Encourage the expression of differing opinions. Being prepared to make the best decision for everyone involved or affected. Respect and support the majority decision of the board. Serve on the committees and our task force in a leadership capacity. Keep all confidential board information confidential. Consider myself a trustee of this organization and do my best to ensure that it is well maintained, financially secure, growing, and always operating within the best interest of those we serve, the members. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Yes, go ahead, yes, sir. Hold on, wait, wait.
I'll
Give me 30 seconds.
Well, look, thank you so much. I'm really getting science and stuff, but there were some folks that all maybe I might have some skills and abilities to help out here. I just want you all to know. I'm going to give you my email address. Talk to me at any time. I will represent you. And I represent the things that you want this community to be. And you can count on a fiduciary responsibility for the financials and everything associated with this group. I just want you all to know that. You contact me anytime. I'll visit with you about anything.
Trust me, they'll have to
Tom.
You got a big chair.
Our next on the agenda item is the pinball lines and existing lines for the tennis court. Did we even discuss this? We haven't got to. Then we're going to table that discussion for next month, Ms. Ruby. Can you put that on your cover agenda? All right, proposal for the board close on last day of September, extend our after Labor Day. I know that there are some folks that want that board until the end of September, 1st of October. Do we have any issues with this?
So is it just gonna be an open gate, or are we gonna stack?
Open gate. Open gate.
Open gate is the last month, huh? What about the team center?
The teen center's usually closed if there's no one manning it.
Okay.
The pool is usually open when there's no one there.
Yeah. So we're just running. All right, so I get a motion to approve the pool stay until the 1st of October.
I make a motion that the pool stay open until after the 1st of October.
Can I get a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, pool is gonna stay open until the 1st of October. Golf course prayer, folks will invite in the last meeting. Yeah. So orders.
So I've talked to Brian about this twice. So we've got proposals in here for 4 different ones, and he explained to me what the difference in them is. So the 300 gallon sprayers will cover 12 to 15 acres in a single fill. The 175 gallon sprayers will cover 6 to 7.5, maybe 8, depending on, so twice as much time with the other ones. He liked the one from Smithco because it had a GPS individualized nozzle on it that he can program, and using this type of a sprayer can save us between 15 and 20% on the products that go into it versus over. This one has 400 hours on it, and these are estimates because a couple of these pieces of equipment in here are used pieces of equipment. Until he is actually ready to purchase, he's going to have to wait and depend on what's available when he's ready to make a purchase. But looking at it is the first one. Looking at them for that, you're looking at about $70,000 to $75,000 for a sprayer. We really need to go back, look at the financials, and see how we can make this work. What we have coming off, can we sell the old one? There's a lot of pieces that need to go into this.
I'm sure you're gonna take care of all that. Make sure we got one tips. So we'll take care of it. You wanna table this until next month? Do you get months to do your research?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna table this decision until October. Ms. Ruby, and put down next month's agenda. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the 10-year plan for the airport closing. Is there anything on that?
This was brought to us last meeting, and we had talked about this being part of the budget, when we do the budget workshop, the long-term planning and strategic planning. This would go into that.
Gotcha. That's already being approved. next on the agenda is, the wildlife proposal stickers on the ATVs. We did approve that last meeting for that, new wildlife contract with the Wildlife Club to include the ATV stickers, the hilltop stickers on those ATVs. So the only thing that needs to be done is to be signed by myself and, Mr. Martin, will have that contract will be signed. And just FYI, he is looking for, to get those dogs running again. So I know there's a lot of concern, Hilltoppers, and, you know, they don't want to see the dogs again, so we actively searching, you know, for somebody who can actually take part of that. And coexist with the wildlife club, so they can have a set schedule and work with the wildlife club as far as that goes. All right, next on the agenda is members to be heard. Who's going to start from the beginning? I'm going to start with Mrs. Craig. Mrs. Craig, do you have anything else? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Here's the top resident meetings. I don't know that I'm a particular fan of it.
What is kind of small?
Approved to get stickers on the resident vehicles.
What is that small?
What helps at the lakes for security when they're driving around, if they see the sticker, then they know that they're a Hilltop resident. So it helps them when they're patrolling these areas of common grounds.
I think that's what it was initially brought up for, was for the lakes and for security to be able to more easily identify vehicles that are not or are supposed to be. I can't hear you.
We used to have them back in the day.
Yes.
So, I mean, if it's gonna help security, to make it easy to identify, to see the benefit in it, but what's the cost?
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be costly stickers?
Yeah. There's no cost, that's what we're gonna.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's other factors that we need to evaluate before any decisions made on these costs and how we're going to handle it. It's going to trip down. So I don't know that we can do anything today. We need more information.
Okay, well, let's put this on next month. This Thursday, please. Next week. Okay, now, I think I've checked all, now we're down to members to be heard. Mr. Gregg, do you have any others? I think you covered just about everything that's from most of the sheets on fire.
No, it's just kind of, I know what to say. It's not that I don't scramble. So I think of the golf course rules on the sheet, you said you thought I've covered everything, but, I had calls to ask for a copy of the golf course rules that are filed, with the county right now. And I wasn't sure what changed because it has a March 31st date of when these rules were adopted by the board. There was no March 31st meeting, so I'm curious about what was changed and why we signed new rules without it being in a meeting.
I don't know that we didn't sign any golf course rules.
You're John English.
I know, you know. Sure is.
So it says revised and restated, so I mean, we don't usually have policies refiled if nothing's changed.
Okay, well, I mean, best thing to do is get the old policy, look at it and verify it, because I don't know that I had, it was being changed on. And I did sign it.
Yeah, so if there was nothing changed, I'm curious about why we're filing something like
Just
this.
read, we'll take a look at this tomorrow, and see if we can find it, and see what's changed, and if it's not changed. and why I signed something, nothing changed, why I signed it. It's got Mrs. Watson's name on it as well.
As the notary,
Yes.
she was notarizing your signature, she
So,
wasn't
yes.
notarizing the statements.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, the other thing, I missed the meeting on August 21st, I was out of town, but in the meeting on August 14th, it was said that we were going to move the Welcome Center staff to the lodge until the mill remediation would be completed, because I'm assuming at that point in time it wasn't completed.
It was completely.
Okay, in the meeting, it was stated that we were gonna move them to the lodge until it could be fully done, and then we would move them back. So, when was it completed?
Yeah, we did. We actually cleaned it. It was remediated. They didn't have a roof. It was already remediated. But I think it was a misstatement on the 14th of August.
Okay.
It was just a misstatement because we as a board had discussed it.
Because there were still workers after the meeting on the 14th on the backside of the Welcome Center.
That's all you got for structure damage. It had nothing to do with the issue as far as the mold.
All right, so my concern is simply for the employees, because in this meeting, we said we still had a problem, we were gonna move them until it was sort of not solved, that was on the 14th, and then it didn't happen, so this.
That was a misstatement.
Okay.
As the board discussed about moving everybody to the lodge. But the problem with moving everybody to the lodge is the mold issue. The mold situation was remediated, okay, before the 14th. So with that being said, everything is clear in our Welcome Center. The problem that we have now with the Welcome Center is the foundation, is the building, is the structure. All right, because the building is so old, that foundation is continuously sinking into the ground, which is cracking that septic line, okay? To where when we discovered the mold in that back office, that outside siding had been corroded with water, it had been through with the water built up, and that siding was taken apart because of that water. So it has, the mold situation is corrected, has been corrected, has been inspected. Okay, I will tell you that the mold situation passed inspection before it was remediated. Okay, we gave the employee accommodations. Okay, since then, we've had remediation cleaned up, cleared up, redone, re-inspected, and therefore it is complete. But during the remediation process, it was discovered that the building had structural damage.
All right,
And that's what we're dealing with now.
Also, in the meeting on the 14th, and again, since I didn't have the minutes from the 21st, because y'all just approved them, or I wouldn't be asking this question, but in the meeting on the 14th, you said things that you had discussed in closed session, you had a personnel issue that you had hoped to resolve, but you couldn't, because you needed to interview all the other parties involved. Have you resolved that employee issue? I'm not asking for details.
Yes, ma'am.
That employee issue is resolved. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
The numbers also on the roll are exactly the same they were 4 years ago. No higher, no lower.
That's the air quality.
And they also passed, there wasn't any room in the Welcome Center that didn't pass.
I'm not suggesting that there was, I'm just repeating what I heard in the meeting, so if it's fixed, it's fixed.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, next up, Lady Glendale. Mary, it's all, get back on. Right there
I got a little piece of everything. You already ate the hall.
now.
So that was good.
So I can mark that one out, right?
Yeah, you knock it out. I was just curious about the halls, because they are on post up now, and they are on Kingston.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I know we're trying to help with wildlife, but they can't kill them where they're hitting, right?
Yes.
Okay, August the 21st, we talked about the beer, wine, permanent pro shop. Have y'all decided anything on that? I'm not going to decide on that. Is that something that's going to be brought up?
We haven't heard back on the application.
The insurance.
We have not yet.
So you're waiting on the
We're
insurance?
waiting on the insurance, yes, ma'am.
Okay, also on the 21st, they had a line item, they was to take back watch, you know, I talked to those about that. And y'all tell me this watch is going on with those. Y'all decided anything like, or you're going to
Yeah.
I'll give you a number for you. Okay, so in take-back lots. And in 2025 to date, there have been 31 take-back lots. There were 2 of those lots sold this past month that I'm working on gathering the numbers of how many of the take-back lots from 24 we sold into 25.
But are you gonna put a limit as to how many we want our, that's what
We haven't gotten to that.
That's
Let's go back on that.
Okay, keep bringing notes.
Okay.
I'm gonna pass around these pictures that I've taken around
Yes,
the
ma'am.
pool area,
Yes, ma'am.
the teen center, inside the pool area, and outside the pool area. I thought I was texting these to a number, but evidently they're out there somewhere in the clouds. I thought I was texting Ron Rowan to show him that the number that's on the website is not your cell phone, I guess. Oh, no, there's a number I texted to, but they're out there somewhere. There's a 903 number that I'm trying to take to. As you can see, there's dirt, there's sand. People, we walk through the sand and grass. There's a sidewalk under the sand and grass that we walk through.
Yes, ma'am.
You'll see stuff in the pool house, the return area, the air conditioning, and they're on both sides, the pictures on both sides. So this building needs to really be looked at. And really, a property owner should not have to bring this to the attention.
I totally agree.
I don't, shouldn't have to put a work order anymore. And one of the things I was gonna ask, when we do a work order, is there any way you can attach pictures to it?
That's, I don't see why not.
I don't think, it's on the computer. It's not on pictures.
There is not a way currently, unless you email those pictures in, but with the new system that I talked about, you will be able to take pictures and attach those to your work order.
I was just wondering, because there's other things, you might want to, it's easier to see a picture than try to explain it with the work order.
Yes, ma'am.
But like I said, those pictures, we should not have to do a work order for those. Those should be taken care of without us bringing to your attention. Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, Roman, can you make this a priority for us? All right, thank you, sir.
Somebody has them out there somewhere. They're just hanging out.
They're just hanging out in the clouds somewhere.
Okay, next on the list, Ms. Watson.
I have a question.
Ma'am.
On May 15th, you stated all potential employees would be going to undergo background checks and drug testing. Is that policy being followed
Yes.
completely?
My knowledge, yes.
Okay, perfect. Second thing, how does the board handle conflict of interest with family members or board members that are placed in management roles or hired in staff positions? What safeguards are in place to ensure the hiring process, including background checks and drug tests, are being done appropriately?
As far as the board members' conflict of interest, that was addressed earlier this week with our attorneys. Okay? If the employee, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Powell, if the employee is already an employee of Hilltop Lakes, and that family member is elected to the board, there is none. The only thing that would change is when there's a discussion that directly affects that family member, that board member is to excuse himself from the building.
Okay.
Okay?
Alright, and so the third thing, it was brought up just a few minutes ago about the welcome center and all issue.
Yes, ma'am.
And you mentioned that, and I'm gonna tell you, I was the employee that was terminated, that there was a alternative place for me to go, lunch, safe place. Why was I given an ultimatum to either return to welcome center before the mold was remediated, or lose my job effective immediately?
So, that's an HR issue.
Okay.
So you have HR issue.
Alright, that sounds
You
great.
have an HR manager, so that's what you gotta do.
That sounds great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Microphone, lawsuit status, sir.
take a moment to recap my recollection of the lawsuit and how things played out. On June 23rd of 2023, the association received a letter from WKBC, which is Whitehair Kaplan, Lasky, and Zuber, representing the client group in the lawsuit. On July 18th, 2023, Austin Barcelou, the association's attorney, responded to WKBC's request and demands, and basically rebutted every single item, and that was pretty much the end of it. Following that, then, the lawsuit was filed on March 20th of 2024 by the client group through WKBC. My understanding, talking with the court clerk, is that everything has been filed from both sides to be heard by the judge. Judge Davis of the 369th Court, he has turned that over to Judge Evans, who is also a retired judge now, and it seems to be up in the air as to whether or not she is going to continue reviewing the case or if they're going to reassign it again. So, if both sides have filed their motion for judgment with the Leon County Court, then it seems like you're taking things into your own hands as far as now we're trying to settle with the client group. And so I have a question for Tiffany, and I'm sure you probably can't answer this right now, but I would be curious to know, to date, what is the total that's been spent in legal fees between Austin Barcelou and Associates and Freeman Mathis and Gary, which is the insurance company represented by which is the law firm that the insurance company retained in order to represent the association. So the point is that if it goes before the judge to review both sides, the judge is going to make a decision, and that decision, depending on how it goes, may or may not include that the association could recoup the money spent in legal fees. But if you take matters into your own hands and try to settle it, my question is, what are your expectations in the settlement, and do you expect to recoup any of the legal fees at all?
I'll answer the question about the money that's already been spent. I do not have that in front of me, so by the next meeting, I will have that for you.
And I'd like to understand who you heard when it changed the judges, because when I called last week to get an update from the court, it was still the same judge.
I spoke to the clerk today, and that's what the clerk told me. So that's all I can tell you.
I think the end result we're trying to get is what the property owners want. To have the deed restrictions go back to where they were before the lawsuit took place. That's the end goal. As far as the money being recouped, I don't know where that's part of our initial count.
Yeah, no, that's not part of the resolution. We're receiving attorney's fees on either side. But like I said, we haven't heard from the other side on whether or not they agree to the proposed resolution in judgment form, or they have any edits to it, or they just don't want to deal with it. We haven't heard from them. So I can't answer that half of the equation for it. What I can tell you is, we got something on the table, we're trying to get it resolved, and that's where we stand right now. They will not hear the motions, summary judgment, until it's set for hearing. If the other side decides not to resolve the case, then you move forward with litigation and you allow the judge to make decisions on those matters. So if they don't want to settle, then you move ahead and you get your ultimate resolution one way or the other. At that point, attorney's fees could come into play, assuming the judge rules in our favor, and he still has discretion to not award those attorney's fees. But that's kind of where we stand. As I understand the case, the summary judgments in and of themselves, if they get ruled on, will not dispose of the entirety of the suit. They're only partial summary judgments. So then what will happen is, if the judge makes decisions in our favor, then that defines the lane of the issues that will have to be litigated post summary judgment. if the judge goes against us, then that defines their lanes, right, of what needs to be litigated going forward. So I would love to get a response from the other side, but at this point, we don't have it.
John, sorry. Look, we gotta work hard to settle this thing. We gotta work hard to settle this thing. And yes, we set something over there too, but the negotiations can continue. But this is right pocket, left pocket. If you think about it, we've got legal fees, they got legal fees. So in the end of the day, it's going to be all of these people who are going to have to pay any damage. We need to settle this thing straight across the board and put worrying about legal fees. And if anybody on the side of the others, the filing of the lawsuit, invested money, well, let me tell you something. When you invest money in something, you might well lose it. We've got costs on our side, they've got costs on their side. It is a lot, right pocket, left pocket. We need to settle the case, period. And we need to continue to negotiate, quit sending emails back and forth and get in a room and get this thing done, period.
Last year, there were 3 board members who were on what I would consider a legal steering committee. And those board members are no longer existent. Who was on the steering committee from this board? Litigation committee for speaking with legal.
We don't have a legal committee. Yeah. I mean, we do have an individual that is in talks with our legal team, and that would be Kyle Bill.
So Kyle, you're good as far as talking to the legal team.
Yeah, I speak to legal because I'm a lawyer, so I kind of understand language. So
Okay. One last question. How many board members are plaintiffs in the lawsuit?
currently, the 2 newly appointed ones are litigants.
I'm recusing myself.
I'm also yesterday. Yeah, you're already.
I'm now announcing, not the party, but I'm also. Okay. It is. It's time to remove my name from it.
You're currently there too. Okay, but I will tell you, with the discussion that we had with our attorneys earlier this week, that yes, and because I know where you're going with this, and I know the question you were asking him, okay, they can sit on the board, or being part of Lawson, but they have to recuse themselves when we have discussions behind closed doors in closed session. Because as you well as you know, when we were on the board, Mark Blackmore was part of it, and obviously, her father, was a family member of, the group. So, yes.
Well, to be fair, I was concerned about that issue as well, because conflicts is a big thing in my world. So we vetted that with our attorney. We specifically asked our attorney, because I did not want to put the board in a position where we may be doing something that we shouldn't be doing with appointing a potential party. So I cleared that because I want to feel good about that too. So that had been cleared for attorneys.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, next up, Jack Miller. Trail Creek. And I one second.
And I'm pleading with this group. What I'm asking for is consideration to the trail fee for not me,
not you,
but the age, 85 years old, and I still would like to get out on the course to see what's going on. I appreciate all the work that's being done. Yes, my wife and I would love to go out and play some holes. We can't play 18 because of my gray hair. And my help. But I'm asking for the board to take into consideration and what I have been talking with my wife, we thought that was fair, is right now, the dues for the final part of this year is $125. I ask that people of ultra senior citizens, or y'all put a little date on it, that's what we pay. So that we can go out there and observe the golf course and awards and so forth, where we can enjoy that park. I've been playing golf on property up here since 1999.
Yes, sir.
That's when I built my house.
Yes, sir. Ms. Ruby, can you add that to the agenda for next month? Yes, ma'am.
Can I help Jack's plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Because my claim was about 3 rounds, and maybe scratched it for free, and paid the $250. When we first came, they said time, because we were not full-time, we paid $5 every time we used our course, our cart. That's just an option. They put a little tag on it. I had maybe 10 times by the end of the year. So like whenever we use it, instead of interview.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So let's put that, we'll have to talk about this this month and put it in for next program.
That's why.
There should be one price for the first and another price for the second.
Same price.
That shouldn't happen.
It's $250 and $125.
No, I think more.
125 is in for half a year.
That's $125 a year.
Half a year is 125, it's 2 people per court. They changed that a couple of years ago.
I think that.
2 years ago, they changed, maybe the same?
Yeah.
Okay. That's on the agenda for next month.
Yeah.
So that's definitely look into that and make some action on it. Okay?
I'll tell you what, 2 different property owners have told me. Don't worry about it, dang money. Just go out there and do it. I'm not built that way.
Probably took the same. Excuse me, you and Cheryl, you okay?
So, hello, my name is Rodney Dangerfield. Okay, and I'm deferring my time to a resident here that lives in Bermuda. Her name is Cheryl Gilpin, and she was the former Comal County Director on the Edwards Aquifer Authority Board, and as well as Judge Ryder. I would like to have him, I would like to defer my time to Judge Ryder as well to have a statement of updates of what's going on with our aquifer. And I know they have 4 or 5 minutes, which I'm happy to give them.
Thank you, Sylvia. I've been here 5 years, and I came from Comal County. I have a master's in geoscience from AMN, and my husband, Lyndon, and I have been involved working with water resources for all my lives. He was assistant director of the Edwards Aquifer Research Data Center in San Marcos. Down where we've got some major aquifer withdrawal permits coming around in East Texas that are like a fire hose going to suck out our aquifers. And need to be aware of what's going on when we have, can't play catch up, and I'll help you in any way I can with understanding aquifers and with our understanding how all our levels of government are involved, and our citizens need to be involved in making sure we have water. A water investment company has proposed a project to pump and to export 50,000 acre feet per year of water from East Texas. That is equal to a swimming pool the size of a football field that is 50,000 feet deep, 9.5 miles deep. And that's just the water that was proposed to be, get permits from the one groundwater district here in East Texas, and part of their land is also in Houston County that has no groundwater district. So after that, we're probably talking about 9 miles, a football field, 9 miles deep, full of water that would be coming out for a year. Now, the company doing this has ironically has this name, Conservation Equity Management, and it's run and owned by developer and investment companies like Kyle Bass up in Dallas. And so what is going on with this is possible because Texas pumping has been governed by a 1904 Texas court judge's ruling called Rule of Capture, based on an old English law. And the Texas legislature has never codified a law to override that judge's decision on how to manage water, which is landowners can take as much as they want out of the water. So this developer and his company bought up 2 ranches in East Texas, Red Town Ranch and Pinewoods Ranch, and they're the permit applicants. And the groundwater permit, the groundwater conservation district they turned it into was right next door to us, just to the east. We are in mid-East Texas groundwater district, which includes Freestone, Leon, and Madison County. And we have the same aquifers that they have, that these permits are going into. Those aquifers don't have county boundaries or district boundaries. So when you hear about that kind of volume of pumping, it's going to affect all of us. Plus, that's just one permit applicant. That's just one business. And that would account for about 90% of our groundwater modeling area, which includes 5 groundwater districts around 20 counties. Okay? That's a lot of water. And for one company. And so the legislature put that in our second session, and
it ended today.
It ended today. They gavelled that session out right while Harrison, the National Natural Resource Committee, was trying to put the moratorium part of the bill back in it because the state Senate took it out. What they wanted was to not allow more exports permitted out of East Texas until we get our science and our water supply and demand balance and our science done about these aquifers. And right now our groundwater districts don't have the state mandate and funding to do all that themselves. And so right now, the legislature in our system of government has the role of appropriating funds and mandating the roles to our regions and our local areas to do the stakeholder process, the expert research, the accounting, the supply and demand, and budgeting management of our state water resources for the public good. And Texas will need to decide to make their state leaders do that job, and instead of passing it over to a 1904 judge's rule to do that job, or else the long arm of the federal government is going to take over our Texas water resources. And here we've got Kenny County with no groundwater district. And the United States, East Texas got plenty of water. Who cares what Kenny County does with their wells? Well, it makes a difference for our whole state. And
And I can help you, Joan, have you come back, talk a little more another time.
Thank you, ma'am.
We want to get it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to do a town hall for the whole county instead of just for Publix.
Okay.
And Judge Ryder, if you could just for the second, impress on them about that versus zero.
Put that more in perspective of what, coming down to talking about 15 billion gallons of water a year, coming out of two different projects that you're doing. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. East Texas has lots of water. We're under water. We got water under us. It's just unbelievable. Everything west to 35, there's very little water. That's why people are trying to move this direction. The other thing that you got to understand too, we have over 1,000 people a day moving to Texas. They're not bringing water. So you got to think about that. What happened in the legislature was they had 4 bills that Harris proposed. They cut out 3 of them right off the bat. The one major bill was 27, House Bill 27, and what it was going to do is give a 2-year moratorium on pumping, so they could do some studies to know exactly how it should be done. Well, they took out the moratorium. That was the first thing they did. And before they adjourned today, they did not send the bill to the governor. So consequently, it's back to the Wild West, where everybody can just do what they want to do. Those rural captures she's talking about is you can drill on your land, and I can go drill on my land next to you to do the same amount of water that you're taking on. I think Texas is the only state that has a rural capture at this point. I believe it's right. But it's very, very serious. Water is going to be a resource that's going to surpass oil and gas. You've got to have water to live. You don't have to have gas and oil to live. And it's very, very critical that we try to preserve our water. There's all kinds of plans out there to try to help West Texas. I think we need to help West Texas. But I don't think by pumping our groundwater. If groundwater is owned by you, whoever you lives above the water is yours. Anything what they call surface water is rivers, lakes, ponds, whatever. That's state water. But even your aquifer affects the groundwater and affects the surface water. So it's very, very critical that you need to talk to your legislators. You need to talk to people that either you know or you don't know, your lieutenant governor, your governor, because they don't seem to be getting the idea that water's critical. Yes, they did pass a bill in the first section where they'll give $1 billion a year to study water, but it's not has anything to do with what's going on over East Texas right now. So it's critical. So I just want to let you know that you need to be very active at the legislative level to get on this water issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. We need to move on with the meeting. We need to move on with the meeting, and I do apologize. Okay, next month.
I have a follow-up question. You said you had to pay $250 and $250.
Yes.
Did you and your husband go in separately at 2 different times?
No.
So I'm wondering if that is the disconnect. And why it should be $250 and $150?
No, one is down as 250. That's a whole rule.
One 2025 fee structure states first part $250, second part $150. Okay, so that's what I'm wondering is are y'all going like separately? Just make sure. Verify. Yeah, just check and make sure.
It's still high for that second part. And for the gas.
Yeah, and that's something that we will discuss, and we've got on the agenda for October meeting. We will definitely have an answer for you next month. All right, next on the agenda, I think one second. Everybody agree to the 10-minute months? All right. Any announcements? Anybody have any announcements for members? Do you have any announcements?
After the show next week, all the tickets left.
I'm sorry, I'll read candidates. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
adjourned.
That was neat. Yeah.
I know. You did fantastic. Thank
Yes, ma'am. There is a bed for that woman. You go. Oh crap, it's still live.